With us now from South Dakota is Republican Senator Mike Rounds. He's a member of the Intelligence and Armed Services Committees. Senator, we're grateful for your time. We all heard the Defense Secretary and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs touting the success of this operation. From where you sit, do you agree with their assessment?
Time will tell, but right now it looks like a real success. All of the early battle damage assessments appear to show that we were successful. Accolades to the young men and women that made this all possible, the planning that went into it. The execution itself appears to be flawless, but now is not the time to let our guard down. Now is the time that we make sure that we keep the guards up and that we make certain that our young men and women in that region remain safe. And hopefully the Ayatollah and his members of his community, they recognize that the United States is very, very serious in this and that we would rather have peace, but nonetheless, our military is capable of doing a great deal of damage should they decide to continue with their war on terror, which we have been the recipient of literally for years.
Okay, so what do you see as the best case scenario here? When you think of the hopeful scenario, what happens from here?
I think President Trump has made it clear that he would much rather have peace than war. He's indicated that if they want to fight and if they're going to try to have a nuclear weapon, that we are prepared to respond, and we will respond with overwhelming strength. They should consider that an opportunity to mend their ways, literally. Look, Iran could never have a nuclear weapon. We've been consistent on that. The president's been consistent on it. And unlike previous administrations, this administration is going to make it clear that we will follow through and we will execute if necessary in order to protect our young men and women in the Middle East. They've been attacked hundreds of times over the last couple of years. It's time to respond back and to make certain that Iran understands that they will never have a nuclear weapon and that if they want peace, great, we're more than willing to accept them into the world community. But if they're looking to continue on as the purveyor of terrorism in the Middle East and around the world, then there will be a price to pay. And I think the consistency in that message is critical. So once again, congratulations to a job well done to the young men and women and for the planning that went into it, to the president for having executed on this in a timely fashion. But let's keep our guard up. Now is not the time to relax. Now is the time to make sure that our young men and women who are in harm's way are protected. And I hope that the Iranians understand the message is it's up to you right now. You can choose peace. You can get into the peace process, give up your nuclear ambitions, or there's more to come.
So what about that? What's the worst case scenario? So if the best case is that Iran is chastened and sincere in mending its ways, what's the worst case scenario?
Then Iran will see the wrath of a country that has the capabilities of doing great damage. But other than that, let's just say that rather than telling them what we would do, let's make sure they understand that we have the capabilities. We don't want to use them, but if we have to, we will.
Okay, some of your colleagues on Capitol Hill have been trying to make sure the president sought congressional authorization before launching any offensive operation. Two questions. Did the president have the authority to launch this strike, and does he need congressional approval for further action?
The Constitution clearly gives the president the authority to act on our nation's behalf. Second of all, the War Powers Act, which is in place, was responded to appropriately. They were supposed to notify congressional leaders within 48 hours. They were well within that range of notifying them of the actions were taken. So the law has been complied with. The Constitution is being complied with. The president, as the chief, the commander-in-chief, has the responsibility. Our founding fathers were brilliant in the way they wrote the Constitution. They understood that Congress takes a long time to act. But they also understood that in times in military conflict or in times of great danger or emergencies, that the president needed the authority to be able to respond quickly and effectively and decisively. This president did just exactly that. It is working the way the founders wanted it to work in the first place.
Okay, there's been a suggestion that perhaps the president was relying on Israeli intelligence and not using his own intelligence apparatus in making this decision. Is there, you think, any truth to that? And would that explain the apparent rift between the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, and others in the administration?
Look, our intelligence was very clear that they were enriching uranium above what was needed for peaceful purposes. They weren't to the point of having it to the point where they could actually use it in a bomb, but they were getting a whole bunch of it really, really close. I don't know which specific pieces the president was using, but I can tell you he has huge amounts of information available to him. It is consistent with what most of us were seeing in the intelligence community or on the intelligence committee. The president absolutely had the information available to him. I'm glad he used all of that information. I presume he used it from multiple different sources. Whether or not he had information coming directly from Israel or not, I don't know. But I can tell you that there is a consistency in the fact that Iran was enriching uranium, a significant amount of it, much greater, to a higher degree of enrichment than what would ever be needed for peaceful purposes. The only reason why they were enriching it was to get to the point where they could very quickly, literally within weeks, have enough enriched uranium to actually create multiple bombs or devices. How they would deliver it would be different, but nonetheless, they were very, very close to it. The president knew that. The Intelligence Committee knew that. So I'm very, very glad that the president took the initiative and decided to strike while they were still getting that enrichment up to that nuclear grade level.
Okay, before we have to let you go, I need to ask you about the pending budget legislation in the Senate. Does this or should this affect the deadline that Majority Leader Thune set for this week?
We're working as a team. John Thune has done a great job of keeping everybody together, working through all individuals' concerns. I think we're going to get it done. Most certainly, Congress has a tough time doing more than one thing at a time. But in this particular case, I think we're still on target. I think we'll get it done.
Okay. If you were from Presho, you would know him already. But if you don't, there he is, Senator Mike Rounds. We thank you.
Thank you, sir.